Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cornbread and Roses. I'm your friendly neighborhood organizer, Austin. Tonight we got Jason with us.
Hello, comrades.
All
Also,
right.
my cat.
And your cat. I've got two cats in here somewhere. I'm sure we will have them as visitors here in a few seconds. What's up, Uncle Warren? Nice to have you as well. Y'all check out the show, Extra Bulla. They do a really good job of going over the news, especially internationally, uh, in well, the world's neck of the woods. And we are the most unprofessional podcast in Alabama and possibly the known universe. And this week, uh, uh, definitely feeling that as I got caught up reading a signal chat for 2 hours when I probably should have been reading more articles, but I at least got through the one we always or have been going through. What's passed in the Alabama legislature this week, and yeah. And how's your week going there?
About the same. I've been very busy, so I didn't have as much time to prepare for tonight's show as I normally do. Although I did spend a few hours today reading over articles and trying to get ready as best I could. So we're going to be phoning this one in, guys.
Yeah.
Keeping in line with our status as the most professional podcast hosts in Alabama.
I did, however, get to the memes, and I did get to a conspiracy theory. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or not, but we'll start with some memes. Let's see here what we got going on. You might have seen this one, but like most normal human males, I enjoy charring meat inside of an unpressurized vessel behind my domicile. The slow screech of burning bird muscle is associated with patriotism and mortar shells in my core memory. Once the animal carcass reaches a temperature sufficient to destroy bacteria and viruses that would pose a threat to my empire, I will consume the flesh to replenish my stores of energy. And of course, we've got one of the top three villains in the United States, well, really the world, Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. You like how I did that?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad my wit is recognized by you. It emboldens me to push forward. We got I got too many memes this week, but whatever. We got Shillbilly Maybelline presents strong, smart, sassy guy liner for the man who looks like a sack of room temperature vanilla pudding with a beard.
So him and Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz. If you told me that Ted Cruz was secretly a stack of slugs in a trench coat, I would believe you. Like if you told, and like the top slug that got dropped on our barbershop floor and was allowed to crawl around in it for a little while.
I actually think a stack of slugs in a trench coat would probably have better policies. Oh, a classic. The far left, we're going to make sure everyone's needs are met. Far right, we're going to exterminate entire social groups because we believe they're impure. Centrists, I literally cannot tell you two apart. Mm-hmm. Ain't that the case? This one I love. Little hard to see, but we've got up there. Trump is a cunt, and he's dressed as a dick. I mean, that's a powerful combo. Um, Especially being outdoors at a protest with it. Um,
It
hey,
certainly is a choice that you can make.
comedy is back. Uh,
I guess. Wow. That is certainly a choice.
it is. I think. Oh, maybe that's what I asked for Christmas is that
A dick,
costume.
a dick suit.
Yes. And we've got a secret message here from Donald Trump. JD, kill Pope. And, that was a couple days before it happened. Oh, yeah. And of course, our alpha male. When the top of your slacks meets the bottom of your short sleeves, you've reached peak alpha male status. That is a look. That is a look.
Yep, that's a fit. It's
Yeah.
definitely a fit, as the kids
My,
say.
yeah. Rate his fit, y'all. My granddad, you know, World War II, he wore the pants on the proper waistline, but not like this. Not like this. God. Like, and nice tits.
There's there's that.
There is. Of course. Hey, fuck Mary Kill. Fuck the couch. Marry her. Kill the Pope. Uh, it is a shame that JD Vance did kill the Pope, though. He was not a bad Pope, as popes go. He wasn't in the Hitler Youth, at least.
Yeah, that is a plus. That is a step up.
And wisely, the Dalai Lama cancels his meeting with JD Vance. He sees what's going down.
Yeah, that
I
was
think we
smart.
got, yeah.
The Dalai Lama's part. The Dalai Lama means ocean of wisdom, so there you go.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's what it translates to.
Oh. Uh, you know, he's like a couch fucker killing one religious leader in the world and then just trying to go through, take them out one by one.
Speed run through them all.
Yeah. We got one more for us. Hannah Apple says, my therapist and I decided that from now on, when I'm thinking something negative about myself, I'm going to imagine that Donald Trump is saying it because it's really easy for me to just tell him to fuck off. Example, Trump, your thighs are fat. Me, fuck you and your fucking wall. I think we're onto something here. We got just did recovery things. This is probably the best coping skill I've ever seen, and I'm 10 billion% going to use it. So all you out there, whatever local leader you have, or use Trump, yeah, make the put a face on that bad voice in your head that tries to get you down sometimes. Ain't that right, kitty?
Yeah. What's the kitty cat's name?
Dum Dum.
Okay.
But also Simon, after a video game character. So Simon Dum Dum.
There you go. Not Simon Belmont, is it?
No, it's not. It's some horror game from a Norwegian game maker. I swear, the kids play. There's so many games out there. It's not like, when we were growing up, it's like, oh, 3 games got released this year.
I know, right?
No.
They were good games, though.
Yeah.
I'm nostalgic for like 90s games.
Oh man, throw on some Tecmo Bowl, dog. I could definitely uh, choosing the Raiders and Bo Jackson, just crushing them like completely overpowered.
And I didn't find much time to read articles this week, but I did find time to play the Oblivion remake, which got released. No
Okay.
Elder Scrolls 6, but there's a remastered version of Oblivion. So I've been playing that, trying to get into the Dark Brotherhood again. Because Hail Sithis, that's why. I love the Dark Brotherhood quests.
Now I've played that. I only got to like level 10. Like I haven't finished a video game in for fucking ever. Right now, I'm trying to play the latest Wolfenstein, and I say the latest Wolfenstein is like 8 years old. And just like get that Nazi killing on it's fun so far. I keep forgetting how to play the game, and that you run with shift and the E button and reloads R, and because I grew up not PC gaming, so yeah. But
Oh, I was an early member of the so-called PC master race.
uh, but yeah, I'm much more comfortable with a PlayStation controller in my hand. But I am willing to learn if it means I get to fuck up the Nazi Empire in Wolfenstein.
Fair enough.
And before we get into articles, we got one. We got here. I don't know if this is technically a conspiracy theory yet, or just solid accusation. But
Love
yeah,
conspiracy theories.
yeah. I saw this on Twitter this week. We got JD Vance here saying some dumbass shit. The entire American media and left wing industrial complex has decided that the most important issue today is that Trump admin deported an MS 13 gang member, an illegal alien.
He's not
The
gay.
yeah, the lies. They used Photoshop, which, oh my God. Okay. Okay. I'm going to be wrestling with this cat all night.
Oh, poor baby.
So yeah. So that's some dumbass shit out his mouth. And then we got up above it, we got Andrew at A Money Resists. So I guess his name's A Money.
Hey, Money. That's a good name. I should change my name to J Money.
Yes, dog. Yes.
J-Money.
That's okay. That's canon now.
That's canon now. I'm J Money.
J Money in the house, bringing it, spinning it, dropping it. Yes.
It's ironic because I don't believe in money and I think it should all be abolished.
That makes it even more sweet. Like, like that's J Money abolishes money. Like that I can feel that. Like, it's on top of your head all the time. J Money, all about no money.
Yep. All for that Star Trek future where there's no money.
Yeah. And opportunity and meritocracy. But we got A Money Resists here saying, JD Vance, you've changed your name 3 times because you kept getting caught raping children in the Ohio Valley. And I have witnesses who can and will testify against you on this. I cannot wait to put you in prison for the rest of your life, you sick fuck. So that is like a hot off the presses. I mean, it's an accusation, not necessarily a conspiracy theory, but
Maybe you should have dropped a content warning on that one.
Oh yeah, that's my unprofessionalism leaking through. But yeah, so that caught my eye this week. We'll try to have some that are a little more fun, but I'm curious as to where this goes, because this person seems pretty adamant about what's happening and what happened, and you know, we shall see. We shall see, Andrew.
I love a good conspiracy theory. In fact, I have one this week.
Ah, all right. Let's go. What you got?
So, one of the bills. So, there's not much to talk about in the bills that passed this week. Now, the legislature only has 2 more weeks to go. They have next week and the week after, and they don't meet for all those days. So, they only have a limited number of days in which to get bills passed. And they got a lot through this time around, but most of it was the local bills that we don't really spend a lot of time on, like this sheriff's allowed to do this, and we raised the cap on this from something to something, and that sort of thing. But there was one bill that we've talked about previously. Let's see, HB 479, sponsored by Brian Brinyark of Wyndham Springs, which amends the voter registration procedures by removing the Electronic Registration Information Center as a verification database, requiring the use of the Alabama Voter Integrity Database for address change identification. So voters would have to respond within 90 days to address change notices, or they'd be marked inactive. The bill passed 74 to 28. That means a significant number of Democrats voted against it, and it goes to the Senate. Now, we talked about this, and we talked about how, like, well, yeah, it's obviously some sort of voter suppression rule, and I think it is that. But I found out that there is a right-wing conspiracy theory about Eric, that it was funded by George Soros. And many states, starting with Louisiana, are getting rid of it, and have been getting rid of it for. It's ironic because it's Eric verifies that you haven't voted in another state. It's one of the only methods to determine that you didn't vote in 2 different states. So it's one of the best tools to prevent voter fraud on the market. But right wingers are turning it away because somehow a rumor got started that the company that created it got some money from George Soros, which is not true.
Oh my goodness.
So 8 states and counting have pulled out of Eric, and Alabama will be probably number 9 if this bill gets through. So that's my conspiracy theory for the week: is that George Soros.
Now we see conspiracy theory turn into legislation. That's is fantastic. It's definitely happening with the whole "Make America Healthy Again" movement. Saw that scumbag RFK talking about autistic people this past week and putting them all on a list for the camps he talked about prior to the election, and that, you know, attacking another marginalized group. And did you hear any of that from RFK? His little
I did.
statement?
I'm on the spectrum myself, and so I really didn't appreciate being told that I can't write poetry and that I don't appreciate this and that, and I'll never fall in love, which is true because I'm Ace and Arrow, but it's not true generally of autistic people. Damn it.
Yeah. Did you or did you not play baseball?
I did play baseball when I was a kid.
Oh my God, you're breaking all. Well, clearly you're not autistic then. I mean, that proves it right there.
Right.
But really, if there is an autistic sport out there, I'm gonna have to go with it is baseball as being the most autistic sport possible, along with the fandom.
What's funny is that of all the sports, I'm not a big sports guy generally, but my grandfather was really into baseball, and so I kind of got into it as a result of him. And it really is like grandfather knew like baseball statistics going back like 100 years, and could tell you this guy did this and this guy did that, and he was like, I don't know, he knew that side of it, and so yeah, like.
But did you ever just watch some of these baseball players before they even step into the batter's box? with like the huge ritualistic behavior. Like there's a guy, Nomar Garcia Parra, for the Red Sox a long time ago, and his like his straps like 12 times on one hand and then on the other, and it's just a whole thing. Like, oh, and he ain't the only one. He ain't the only one. Or watching a pitcher throw a ball. So I think, all the little things they do before they throw a ball, like if anything, uh RFK Jr. got it the opposite, you know. But damn.
No, I get that. I'm also very superstitious. So, which is something that I'm a little bit ashamed to admit, but it's too late to unsay it now. I am a little bit superstitious, and so I would also have rituals about things like that if I were playing baseball again. I'm sure that I did when I was a kid. I just don't happen to remember what they were.
Well, I think having some superstitions, like they they come from somewhere, and there's a lot about the world we don't understand. There's the world. The world is magical, man. You take away all the bullshit and you look at it, like it's magical. It really is. And those superstitions are connected to that magic, I think, on a level, you know. And they probably served as some sort of defense at one point on some level, you know, like
Sure.
like the whole you know getting your hair wet. That's not really a superstition. That's more an old wives' tale. But old wives' tales are superstitions, right? But like
I don't know.
uh, getting your hair wet or whatever gets you sicker, which technically it doesn't. But like getting cold and wet can wear you down. And when you get worn down, you are more susceptible to getting sick, but it doesn't outright cause like you're not gonna catch nothing outright from that. But that's something I always, you know, always battled my elders against when I was growing up. I was like, this doesn't make sense. It's disease. Haven't you heard of germ theory?
Right. I know. I was that kid too.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because I'm also very superstitious.
Well,
My grandfather would say things like that. Would say like, "Oh, the night air will make you sick," and I'm like,
yeah.
"No, it won't."
The cat stealing your breath.
Right, exactly. And my grandmother, who was a nurse, would say otherwise. And
Hey, opposites attract, right?
I guess so.
Or at least with the magnets. I don't know how. Like, I, you know, I me and my spouse, we got some opposites on some things, but generally we agree, which I think is a good thing. It's kind of good to be pretty much on the same page on a lot of things. Kind of makes things a lot smoother. Because if you're sitting there, and we're waxing poetical about relationships right now, but we need to focus back on this conspiracy theory.
Yeah. So George Soros founded Eric, or gave money to the nonprofit that runs Eric, and so a bunch of states have pulled out of it, including soon, not hopefully, but including soon, possibly Alabama.
I thought they liked billionaires messing with votes.
They hate George Soros for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, he's a billionaire. Like like he's really on the working class side. He's like clearly an op.
Who was that? Who was the character in 1984 that they directed the 2 Minutes of Hate at? What was his name? He was like, don't you remember in 1984 they had the 2 Minutes of Hate, where they had the public enemy? It was like Emmanuel Goldstein or something like that.
Okay. I do not recall this.
The 2 Minutes to Hate. Maybe I'm crazy. I haven't read that book in a long time.
I've not read that book. Wait, are you talking about it's in 1984, like a scene?
Yeah, there's one of part of the state would create like this.
Okay.
They had this ritual that had its citizens perform called 2 Minutes of Hate against this guy named Emmanuel Goldstein. I think that was the name.
Oh
Where they
yes.
just blamed everything wrong that happened on him. Let me Google this and make sure I'm not just completely off my.
No, that sounds correct. Now that you're saying it and everything, I haven't read that book since high school, maybe
2
a little
Minutes of Hate.
before.
Yeah, 2 Minutes Hate, 1984. Directed the members of the outer and inner party of Oceania must watch a film depicting Emmanuel Goldstein, the principal enemy of the state, or it may be Goldstein, and loudly voice their hatred for the enemy and their love for Big Brother. So he was the traitor Gulen of Inksock land.
Mm. So yeah, there's definitely that as you said, conspiracy theory going back to like it looks like 2016. So they've been working on this for some years. This article is from 2023 by NPR, who I have like a love-hate relationship with. Yeah, yeah. Oh, 15 years ago. Oh my goodness. Oh, so once again, the right wingers. This is a long ass article, y'all. Once again, the right wingers work together diligently over a long period of time to fuck shit up. They do work well together, don't they?
It's
I'm
crazy
trying.
how they're able to do things like that. And we don't have that kind of discipline on the left, and it's unfortunate. Like I also like they are effortlessly intersectional. Like they hate LGBT people, they hate people of color, they hate immigrants, they hate they hate everybody just with no problem whatsoever. But like trying to get the left to agree on ableism and being anti-racist and anti-ableist and anti, the list of things, anti-homophobic and things like that can sometimes be like pulling teeth.
So
Like
I feel like
intersectionality on our side is a lot harder to achieve than it is on the right wing.
we should pivot to hating things. Maybe that's the key for us here.
Oh, I definitely believe in the power of hate.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
Oh, we are emotional animals, and hate, when done right, when it's focused like a laser beam, especially when you're hating bad guys and billionaires, I think it's time for. I think it's time for it.
It's time to embrace the dark side of the force.
They want. Is people might think my rhetoric is a little out of line, but I want to say of the opinion, but it's not real. I don't think it's a fucking opinion. I think it's plain fact that they want us to be slaves. I think you drop down all the window dressing and stuff like that. They've made a lot of people slaves in various forms through incarceration or debt, and yeah, they they really want us to be slaves. You look at Curtis Yarvin, their little dark enlightenment philosopher, and he says things like, black people had it better under slavery. So, and that's who they all like. So, right. What more proof do you need? So, yeah.
They want the cheapest, most docile labor possible, and it's hard to get cheaper than free.
We should all, bring up that spirit we had when we were kids, and our parents were trying to make us do shit, because that's what I run into every day of the week. You know, from whatever, trying to hygiene or do the dishes or whatever, like the indomitable spirit of children to say no to your fucking parents, man. Like, let's get some of that going again. Find your inner child and hate your daddy. How about that, y'all? But yeah, Eric, George Soros, thank you very much for creating it. And it's sad to see it go. But this bill goes off to the Senate, and it did receive some. So there is a chance that we won't be seeing this passed, as there's literally like 3 days left. Is there not?
I don't remember how many days, but they've only got 2 weeks, and they only meet like a couple days out of that week. So they really don't have a lot of time, and they've got bigger fish to fry, including the "let cops do whatever they want" bill, and other things. So they may not have time to address the conspiracy theory of George Soros.
Yeah.
Funding Eric, whatever.
Yeah.
The only other thing on the list that I saw was SB 241 at the very bottom of the article, which creates a database that contains information on people suspecting of belonging to a criminal enterprise or gang. So it passed 30-0 and goes to the House. Again, like, this is just ripe for abuse. It won't take much for you to be accused of belonging to a gang. I think the bill says things like, if you're seen in the company of gang members, like on 4 more occasions. So if your brother's in a gang and you hang out, or your cousin's in a gang and you hang out with him, like, suddenly you're suspected of being in a gang. Like, it's just ripe for abuse.
I saw these folks on the day before Jesus was born, all congregated together at one house. I think they all might be in a gang. Yeah.
Identified as a criminal enterprise member by a parent or guardian. Is identified by a criminal enterprise member by a reliable informant. Now, who knows what that means? So some random snitch they find. Adopts the style of dress of a criminal enterprise, and we've already seen that abused at the federal level, where people wearing Chicago Bulls hats were accused of being members of either MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, whichever one uses the Chicago Bulls as their.
I think it's the Tren de the Trendy one, the Trendies.
Yeah,
you know,
has a tattoo identified as used by a criminal enterprise. We've seen that abused at the federal level.
What, have we heard Michael Jordan speak out on this with the Bulls hats? I mean,
no.
Because I think still to this day, Michael Jordan is like number one as far as athletes go in popularity, at least in the United States. There might be some mishmashing with football stars out there, but he's pretty up there. And I don't know about you, but I love me some Michael Jordan growing up. It's,
I didn't pay attention to sports.
Well, rest assured, he was pretty good. He was pretty good.
I mean, I've heard of him. I've heard of I'd heard of the big name sports guy.
Oh my god! Did you ever? So you heard of him? But let me tell you this: this man was so famous. He thought he could. He thought he could wear Hitler's mustache and pull it off. That's how famous and good he was at basketball. I swear to God, you look mid 90s or so. He brought that. What the hell do they call that thing? It's not technically Hitler's mustache. It's like a toothbrush mustache or some shit. I'm sure there's a
It's
long
called a
German
toothbrush.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a long German word for it. But
Let's
yeah.
see. What is the long German word for it?
Oh, let's see here.
Oh, it's called
German. You got it?
a Hitlerbot
Oh, well,
or
that's a little
a Chaplin
disappointing.
bot. So it's also called a Chaplin bot after Charlie Chaplin.
Chopin? Oh, Chaplin.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did do it. Did he do it first? I think he did it first.
yeah. Im
I always
Englischen ist
forget
die
Chaplin did it.
Bezeichnung Toothbrush Mustache heute noch gebräuchlich.
That's better. That's the German I'm talking about. Add a few more syllables in there. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Dankeschön, as they say.
As they say, im Deutsche.
Yeah. So I saw some. They surprisingly, I was surprised at how many bills they got through this week. They are definitely have turned it up a little bit.
Yeah, they're rushing to get through the session. The Democrats were, to their credit, were gumming up the works as much as they could, and the Senate Republicans invoked cloture in order to basically shut them up. There were two Democratic senators, Chris England and I think Bobby Singleton, who were both dedicated to filibustering bills as they came up, and were really slowing down the rates of bills that they could get passed. And to their credit, I think that's about all they can do is use their power to shut down, is to drag it out as much as possible, so they pass as little as possible. And last week or the week before, the Senate Republicans invoked cloture in order to prevent that, and now they're scrambling to get bills passed. But fortunately, for the most part, this week, the bills were local bills that we wouldn't normally spend time on, like Jefferson County. It raised the cap for this from X to Y. That's
several judges got pay raises. Several sheriffs got pay raises. I did find this one interesting here. HB 454. Steve Hurst from Mumford makes it a Class A misdemeanor, punishable by 1 year in jail and a fine of up to $6,000 for an individual to forge sponsorship on local legislation. The bill passed 93-1. It goes to the Senate. So apparently somebody impersonated him and filed a bill under his name. I thought that was a little interesting.
That is funny.
And they're also like, why can't we file legislation? Why can't we at least bring these things into a big database and you just create a bill that you think would be reasonable? And
there are conservative nonprofits that produce model legislation that gets passed in state legislatures all the time, where they draft the language, and the state legislatures basically just copy pasta it and vote it into law. And it would be interesting to see a progressive or leftist organization that did something similar, and if they could somehow crowdsource the writing of the bill, so it'd be like kind of like the people's model legislation. I think that could be interesting.
I think it'd be not just interesting. I think it needs to happen. I think, well, maybe we gotta. I guess it'd be a nonprofit, wouldn't it? There we go.
I don't know how that would work. So you might have to create. It would be a nonprofit, but I don't think you could get, if you're doing political advocacy, I think you have to register as a 527 instead of a 501 whatever. 501c or
501c3 or C4 or
yeah, they're different. Like C8 is fraternal organizations and that sort of thing. Like, so C3 is most nonprofits, but like most political organizations are 527s.
Yeah. Name it the Heritage Foundation, but with two E's at the end.
The heritage.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. There was one for expanding veterans dependent scholarship program by 100 people and lowering the requirement from 40% to 20% disabled. And yeah, that last bill that I was talking about the forgery, is Chris England, Democrat out of Tuscaloosa, was the only one who voted against it. He said the bill, surprisingly, had confusing language.
Huh.
I did find another bill that I thought was, it's the only one I recall this year from my representative, HB 595, sponsored by Rep. Richie Wharton, Republican out of Owens Crossroads, removes a specified area from the corporate limits of the city of New Hope in Madison County. The bill passed 11 to 0, goes to the Senate. And this is just so crazy. 11 people. That's how few it takes, y'all. This is
Right.
Imagine us having just 11 people elected into the Senate. Just 11 people elected into the Senate, and how much power the working class would have. But so I read this bill, and I think now that I say it, I think he did something similar earlier this year. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But when you look at it and you start reading it, it looks like a fucking math problem. The radii, it uses radii. I know he didn't write this shit. Of said curve bears south 41 degrees, 34 minutes, 49 seconds west from the said point of beginning. Thence from the point of beginning alongside center line as follows. And I'm not gonna curve a chord bearing. That, it's got a little music in there. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting to read through this and to see how whatever, I'm assuming an actual civil engineer of some sort wrote this, like how they, from a hill, quote unquote, like, is it a hill? Like, why did you put that in quotes? But yeah, this was a horrible thing to read and try to understand without, a degree in what's the study of maps?
Cartography.
Thank you. J Money with the critical save. Yeah. Yeah, Corey. 11 people in the Senate is all you really need to pass a bill. And it was written by, it said it was written by Richie Wharton, but I don't believe he wrote it. It's one of those, and I'm curious as to why what's the end game on this? Because he's removing area from the city of New Hope in Madison County, so that cedes it to the county level for something, or is it being seeded? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the end game here?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We should start a conspiracy theory right now. It's gonna go to white supremacists for a rest and recreation lounge or rest and recreation area. That's my conspiracy theory. Rate my fit.
We have to call him and ask, I guess.
Yeah, valid.
He won't field my phone call because I'm not his constituent. He's Owens Crossroads. But it is wild that in the House it only took 11 people to get this passed. Like that was considered a quorum. The bill underneath it passed 9-0, and then goes to the Senate.
That has to be. Yeah. Oh, that was the House. You're right. He is the House rep. My bad. So yeah, 11 people uh, in the House. That just blows me away. So I misspoke, Corey. That was 11 in the House to get it passed into the Senate, which again, mathematically does not make sense to me. Yeah. Bill passed, goes to the Senate. I misspoke. There were some budget bills that got passed.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is that they have to approve the budget and the education trust fund budget, and they haven't. They're only just now starting to make progress on that, and those are the two things they really have to do. So they only have a few days left. So some of these bills might fall by the wayside.
Yeah, let's hope so. That's been one of Altrac's tactics to create a whole bunch of delay to get that to get legislation just kind of pocket vetoed or whatever. Yeah, right, Corey. Like, yeah, they have 105 in the House,
That is
so
correct.
yeah, and that it does not make sense, does it? Like 10% for quorum, like it, like that does not make sense. I hear typing. I know what that means. I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
You would have thought we would have remembered this from earlier this year when we went back and did our basic civics stuff. But
It takes a quorum of 53 members to conduct business in the Alabama House of Representatives, and a majority of a quorum can pass any bill except a constitutional amendment, which requires 63 votes. So how are they able to pass a bill with only 9 people voting for it?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm gonna call my state representative and see if he'll explain that to me. I'll have an answer for us next week. I'll call Scott Stadthagen's office.
Stadthagen.
Yeah, I want to call him Stadthagen, but it's actually, but he pronounces it Stadthagen, I think.
Okay. Well,
yeah, there probably aren't many German people named Scott.
Scott Stadthagen means Stadt is a state, I thought.
Stadt means city in German.
City, thank you.
So I don't know what the Hagen part means, but Stadt means city.
Oh, we got Corey asking.
German. I took German. Yeah, it could be an error in the report, but I'll call and find out. But I took German in college, believe it or not.
You know, I learned a little in Germany itself, but you know, it's hard to recall nowadays.
Yeah, it is. It leaves your brain eventually.
So Corey's over here. Is it verifiable on the state database? That's the Allison database. Could be an error in the report. I would agree with you about being an error in the report, Corey, but we've seen this all year. Like, we've seen this 11 folks or whatever to nothing. Maybe people are there for a quorum and then nobody votes against it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe there were just that many abstentions.
Yeah, which also is weird in itself. Is like you no vote on this for whatever reason. Like, yeah. Oh, this is another one I enjoyed. HB 456, Rep Thomas Jackson, Thomasville. Haha. Oh, authorizes Clark County Sheriff to charge reasonable fees for specific services such as fingerprint reports, records copies, photo IDs, funeral duties, and court ordered ankle monitors. And it's going to KIV to sign.
But only for Clark County.
Only for court.
I hate
Just
this piecemeal stuff. Like
reasonable fees.
It doesn't make sense for one county and only one county to be able to charge the fees. Like if it's good enough for one, it's good enough for all. There should be uniform law. I don't know.
I'm very happy that it angers you, and I hope you embrace the dark side.
I'm telling you, the dark side of the Force is where it's at, clearly. It always takes like 2 Jedi to fight off 1 Sith. You ever notice that? At least 2 Jedi. And usually there's casualties among the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
So it took, I'm just saying, like Count Dooku was no spring chicken. And it took Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda to fight him up to a standstill. And Anakin lost his arm in Attack of the Clones. And every time the Jedi fight the Sith, it's always like 2 or 3 on 1. And the Sith usually holds his own. Darth Maul, same story. It took 2 of them to fight him. And yeah, he lost, but he killed Qui-Gon Jinn. So it was 1 for 1. I'm just saying, clearly the dark side is where it's at.
That's what's up. It's time to go dark left. They got dark Gothic MAGA.
Right.
We've got darker Gothic-erly or left.
So I love how like Elon Musk is dark Gothic MAGA or whatever he was calling himself, and then he's like crying because people are making fun of him online, and he's taking his toys and going home because Tesla's down like 70%. Tesla stock is down.
I'm not just MAGA. I'm dark Gothic MAGA.
Like I'm the uber tough MAGA, and then like you guys stop making fun of me.
You make my line go down. No. Yeah.
So I did have a couple of updates on other bills. Let's see here. House committee approves bill allowing archive board members to be removed at will. So this is going to be voted on by the rest of the House. This is something we talked about. It's an anti-LGBT bill because the Alabama archives have been pushing back, and they in 2023 they hosted a 1-hour program recounting LGBTQ history in Alabama, and for that, like they've been branded as horrifically woke, and so now the House has voted. The House committee has approved a bill allowing the governor to was it the governor?
Yeah, I think assign board members and whatnot.
Right, to punish them for a program they had 2 years ago.
Wow. Once again, them staying with it. All them Eagle Forum and Alabama Policy Institute and Mom for Liberty types.
Right. They want revenge. Like they're in it for revenge as much as anything. And that's what I think that's how we have to be. Like I want bloody satisfaction against these people. Like I want it written in the law that there's 1,000 genders and we add 2 more every day.
Well, we get 11 people in the House and our dreams can come true.
Yeah, apparently only takes 9 people. I'm gonna call and ask about that. I don't have an answer for us next week.
Bet. That's some real journalism. Don't get too professional on me though, Jay.
I won't. I'll keep it real unprofessional.
There we go.
Believe me, I wouldn't know how to be a professional journalist to save my soul.
No. No, I've got too much brain rot from social media.
Right.
I'm over here trying to figure out ways to start up conspiracy theories. Uh, yeah,
I
like,
wonder if you asked if I weren't so opposed to AI, I would go on to AI and ask it to write a conspiracy theory for me and
yeah.
see what it could come up with. Can you invent a conspiracy theory?
I'm sure it could do a workaday job, or the I think the easy part is coming up with some, like, JD Vance killing the Pope. It's just getting it to spread. That's the tricky part. Is one thing I wish I had done several years ago is infiltrate QAnon and just like seed things in there. Like, man, this is all crazy. All these rich pedophiles and stuff would be. I bet you we could really get to them if we had Medicare for all. You know, something along
Yeah,
those
like
lines.
the real conspiracies about about class solidarity among the wealthy, and how effortless solidarity is among them, like how well they protect their own interests, and how
Oh yeah,
hard it is to get us to fight for ours. Like
yeah.
that's the real conspiracy.
Yeah, that's the conspiracy, and it's not a theory. It's the conspiracy, the conspiracy, the Uber conspiracy is that the rich are coming to get you.
Let's do some by
And
the way. I like it.
thank you, thank you. I worked on. I looked up. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing when I came up with that, but I was like, "What is the first of first things?" And it's like, yes,
Whatever.
yeah. I think it was like the first word, something like that. But yeah, we need to embrace hate and conspiracy theories, and uh, you know, push them out. Let's just, uh, Kay Ivy. She actually only shoots blanks in her gun videos because she's, I don't know, she's not a real Republican.
Something like that.
Yeah, that,
There has to be. Yeah.
I'm workshopping that one. Let's
Workshopping.
work.
It's a
Yeah,
work in progress. I understand. I get it. We'll come up with something. We'll come up with a
we'll
good
get there.
theory.
Yeah.
So that and the bill to allow police or to make it harder to sue the police or to hold them accountable for any wrongdoing they do while they're arresting you was heard in committee. It hasn't gotten through committee yet, but it was heard in committee, and there was a hot debate about it, as you might imagine. The Democrats are really putting up a fight against this because they know it's a license to kill black people, and so they're really trying to pull out the stops. To make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, the tiny little town that I lived in made it against the law to fire guns across the street, and people lost their minds about how dare this little town tell us we can't shoot our guns, and it was like, no, you just can't fire them across the street. Like you have to, fire them not
Yeah, keep it north and south, up and down the sidewalks is what we're
right.
asking. Like, into the crowds, not across the street into cars. We don't want to hurt the cars. We want to just hurt the people.
Right, but you'd think that the mayor had ordered gun confiscation or something. Like you passed an anti-gun law in tiny little. Well, I don't want to say what town I live in, but I live in a town of 700 people. There are more cows than people in this town, and
You need to get the cows to rise up, dog.
I know, right?
Like, I think there's a way we can do that. I'm not exactly sure, but mushrooms have a language. So cows probably got a language. We just need to learn to talk cow.
You learn to speak cow and get the cows to rise up.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the bill that would make it harder to hold police accountable for misusing force, sponsored by Representative Rex Reynolds from Huntsville. They shut down a Democratic filibuster, but Democrats were still getting on the record opposing it, which is good. So it was hotly contested. This bill was called out by Kay Ivey in her State of the State speech this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it's on her list of priorities to get done. So if they fast track any bill, it'll be this one. But they're running out of time. So call your Congress critter and tell them to vote no on this bill. And hopefully they will deprioritize it in favor of other things.
It's out fucking landish.
Yeah, it's. So aside from that, our fearless Führer, Donald Trump, is coming to Alabama next week.
Oh, that's right, he is, ain't he? On May Day itself.
On May Day, he'll be here on May Day, giving not the commencement speech to the University of Alabama, but a commencement speech. Apparently, there are like 5 or 6. I think I read as many as 8 different commencement talks and events that are happening. And of course, there's going to be a counter protest.
And it is being heatedly worked on as we speak. There is a lot of action behind it, a lot of organizing going on behind it, making sure the marshals are there and trained up, and legal observers, and people are going to be coming from all over the state to be there that night. Because I think it is an evening show he's putting on. Now there was some talk about trying to buy tickets and then people just not showing up.
Right.
Did not see any tickets yet. I haven't checked in a couple days. But if you're a graduate, spring graduate, you get a free ticket. And of course, the students are talking about various tactics about that. So it's definitely going to be interesting, and it is definitely at the top of the to-do list in the coming week. We got Thursday, I believe. But
Thursday on May Day.
Related to that, of course, May Day, May 1st, the original Labor Day. There's also going to be stuff taken, and I wish I had the flyers, but
I got
point to unprofessionalism. But there is going to be other protests that day all across the state, and I've been asked to be a speaker up here, so that's going to be cool. I've got a little speech prepared, and I'm going to try to make sure that whoever's there knows what next steps need to be taken. Don't know if you've seen in the news, but like Target has lost about 40% of their foot traffic and are begging Al Sharpton to tell black people to go shop there again. But hey, collectively wielding our economic power through boycotts, through strikes, works, because these people don't really give a fuck about us. Like the rallies and stuff, that's good. We need to do those. We need to be together and share thoughts and educate each other and make connections. But we also need to take the next steps. And some of those next steps are something I keep pushing for is economic blackouts every Sunday. Hopefully we get more aligned on that as a country. But I'm going to focus on my community and my state. One reason why we're doing stuff like this. But yeah, May Day is coming up.
I'm sorry.
No, go.
So there's a lot of coverage of national level politics, and there isn't that much coverage of local stuff, and especially not Alabama. and certainly not from a left-wing point of view. Like I listen to a lot of right-wing talk radio, and some of it focuses on local issues, but it's all from a right-wing point of view, and that's what's on the radio. And so it's good to sort of focus some attention on what the state legislature is doing, especially what cities are doing, especially since there's a chance we can push back on that in a way that we really can't do as much about some of the things that are happening at the federal level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, getting the left together on the federal level means first, all these states have. Thank you, dog. Thank you, Corey. I appreciate you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. I'm glad you're listening to our super unprofessional podcast.
But getting the left together on the federal level is, I think, the prerequisite is for the states themselves to get together at the state level. The left getting together, and you're starting to see some of that. DSA got 2 people recently elected at state level legislatures in Kentucky and Georgia. So that right there is proof in the pudding. You know, granted, those districts were blue or bluish, but one of them ran outright. The one up in Louisville, he ran as a full-throated socialist. So they're, in my opinion, at least in the blue districts, you can run as a socialist even on the Democratic ticket and win. It's been proven. At the national level, there's socialists like AOC that have won. And I know there's plenty of critique, and you should make critique of AOC and some other folks. But the fundamental thing I think to draw from that is that the ground is fertile for socialism in the United States. It's just being organized in your community, in your area, and like very coming up very rapidly are November local elections at county and city level. And that's an opportunity for people to get their feet wet, maybe gain some power, find their people, develop a team, and figure out these first steps towards one of the pillars that I talk about: electoralism, direct action, unions and co-ops, and mutual aid to get there. And if you don't think you can do it, look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think anyone would mistake her for a PhD candidate in physics. And yeah, she's at a national level creating legislation.
And talking about space lasers.
Oh, yeah. I think she, her Jewish space laser technology theory. I don't know how. Did she come up with that, or did she repeat somebody else's? Probably a Nazi's thing, because whenever it's something Jewish, it's usually a Nazi who said it first.
I have no idea.
Did she come up with that, or did she steal it? Because I'll give her some bonus points if she came up with it herself.
Well, let's see.
Oh, which guy are you talking about, Corey? Yeah. Corey points out they have a lot more money than us. They can hold up these horrendous candidates. We have to analyze that and point it out to constituents that these representatives do not represent their interests. Oh, the Louisville person, I can't recall. I can find them though, because I, as unprofessional as I am, uh, I can type. Uh, J.P. Leninger. Yes. And I'll drop this in the chat. And then DSA also, they announced another slate of about 5 candidates that are running at city and state level. Yeah, city and state level, not national level. And another one out in Georgia, who's apparently a longtime DSA member and has been on the ground working for a while. But yeah, we can win, folks. We just got to do the work, you know. And yeah, are things stacked against us? Well, you know what? Things have always been stacked against the fucking working class. Always have, always will be. You know, they got the money, but we got the honey. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Had a before we before I forget. How about that? Whoops, wrong button. I wanted to share a couple fundraisers. Um, got oh my goodness. Let me refresh this. Here we go. We got some folks trying to rebuild. They've had some, and I'll drop this in the chat as well. But this family trying to get things going. They've had a lot of ups and downs, as we all do. This is why we try to help each other. But Kara Felton, my name is Kara, and I'm reaching out to you all because of my family, and I need help rebuilding after a series of unfortunate events that have left us financially depleted and suffering. Like many families, we are living paycheck to paycheck before. Now we're struggling and forced to reach out for aid. So listen, issues the last several months. We've had car issues this year several times already. We had washing machine we needed to replace. So I identify with these problems. And so I'm going to drop the GoFundMe in the chat. And if you can help, please do. And if you can't donate, please just try to share. And there's another one. We have a local friend who has a friend in Palestine that is trying to, well, if you don't know what's going on in Palestine, folks, long and short of it is there's a genocide going on, and this family, they are trying to raise funds to have a roof over their heads. My name is Mahir Noor. I'm a 29-year-old and I'm from Gaza. I'm married and have a 9-month-old baby. I'm reaching out to you today to ask for your support in these incredibly difficult times. In these incredibly difficult circumstances, for the past 9 months, my family and I have been living through a relentless and devastating war. This conflict has destroyed everything we once had and caused severe damage to our families. We have lost our homes and loved ones, and we are constantly displaced with no safe place to go. We have narrowly escaped death multiple times. But I'm appealing to you for help so that my wife, our baby, and I can survive this brutal war. We desperately need safety and peace. Our baby is suffering from a severe skin condition due to the unsanitary and inhumane conditions we're enduring, living in a tent that offers no protection from the summer heat or winter cold. I'm responsible for two families, my immediate family of three and my extended family, which includes my parents and younger siblings, totaling 10 members. This significant responsibility is a heavy burden, and we urgently need your assistance. Any contribution you can make will have a profound impact on our lives and give us hope for a better future. We're deeply grateful for any support you can provide. Thank you for your compassion and generosity. So, yeah, I have been displaced for the sixth time. Uh, you know, moving, just moving, and you're squared away, and you got an apartment or a house, and you're going to something similar or what have you. Just the act of moving is one of the top three most stressful things uh, statistically that people face. And I'm not going to qualify this as fucking moving. This is displacement. And this is displacement at horrible levels, let's just say. But a family of 13, they've been displaced 6 times. One of our comrades here, this is one of their friends. And so we're asking y'all to donate if you can. And once again, if you can't, just please share. And, you know, count your blessings, what you got. Because, even here in the United States, people working paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of us are, problem with the car engine away from bankruptcy, a medical issue away from bankruptcy. So if you got blessings right now, try to spread them where you can. And if you can't give up no cash at the moment, just spread the word. And we appreciate that. So, yeah, just wanted to do those before we started getting towards wrapping up and whatnot. So, yeah, you got we had some stuff happen out in Decatur. J Money, you up on all that? Yesterday there was an event in Decatur. I haven't gotten a report back on that. And the other day, the group out in Decatur, Standing in Power, had a community meeting. But there's the body cam footage of individual who was brutalized and ended up in the hospital and then passed away the next day. You got any? I thought we were trying to talk about that last week, and I overlooked it. But you got any information?
So his name was John Scott Jr., but he went by LJ. He was only 41 years old. He suffered from mental illness, and his mother called the police on him because he was symptomatic, and they wound up tasing him into a coma, tasing and beating him into a coma, in which he did not recover from. This is the second time in less than 2 years that Decatur police has murdered somebody. I wasn't able to attend the Standing in Power meeting, but I did go to a prayer vigil that was in his honor. So his family members and friends were there, and some people from the community were there, and there were several religious leaders who gave speeches and led the group in prayers. So Decatur is reeling from it, as you might imagine. It comes in during a time of transition. Todd Pinion, the chief of police, has stepped down, and the city has an interim chief of police who is controversial for various reasons. And so they're scrambling to hire a new person. And I think they whittled it down to one candidate. And I'm not sure what his plan to bring healing to the city is. Um, they held the interview with him in the middle of the day when people who work for a living can't show up, like me. And they wouldn't allow it to be televised. So there was no
Par for the course.
right. So it's hard to get information about what questions were asked of the police chief candidate and how he responded. But yeah, it's a tragic situation, and keep catering your thoughts.
Yeah, and relatedly to that, I saw that they're working on naming a street after Steve Perkins out there, which, you know, uh, if- it's a shame that he went the way he did, but one way to remember and honor the victims of these brutalizations is to put their name someplace and put a sign somewhere and remind people you know um, but some people might consider things like that a bit performative. I think it's important, uh, and I think it matters, and I think it makes a difference. you know like, I don't know about you, but me driving down the road and I see a name. I might not do it all the time, but I see like the name of a street or whatever in some town that I ain't been to or what have you, or even down in Huntsville. I'm like, who is this? And I'll look them up. A lot of times it's an old racist white man, but in this case, it's not. And you know, little things like that stack up and add up and matter and need to be done. And trying to see if there's a GoFundMe uh, for his family. And let's see, but I didn't see one this past week. So there might be one out there, folks. And, you know, uh, if you can help with that, help with that. You know, it's not. And think about what alternatives could have happened if there was some service that wasn't the police to be able to call. Because, I imagine his mom is elderly, uh, and, you know, couldn't handle the situation on her own, but, uh, and was scared and probably, definitely didn't think her son was going to be killed. But there's alternatives to this stuff out there uh, than just having to call the police when somebody's having a mental health crisis. Remember, shortly before I started organizing, lady in Huntsville, her son, uh, same thing. He was having a mental health crisis. She called the police, and he got killed, shot in the back. Uh, and you know, and then her speaking up afterwards about coming to the realization of it wasn't a one-off thing that happens, but it's something that happens across the nation. She was ostracized by her community. That she, all her friends and stuff didn't want her speaking out, uh, you know, for her son. So yeah, so it's our duty to get this stuff changed, folks. There's better ways to do things. So keep that in mind. If you don't know what those ways are, look them up and come on the show and talk about them. But yeah, we got anything else, J Money?
So Tommy Tuberville has told donors privately that he is going to run for governor of the state of Alabama, and he's been telling them privately. So they leaked it to the press, of course, which is how I know about it. And apparently he's been telling some of his Senate colleagues the same thing. So even though he is ambiguously
an Alabama resident,
to run for Senate, you only have to have been in the state for a day, but you
actually crazy,
which is wild. But to run for the governor, you have to have lived in the state for the past 7 years, and very debatably, Tuberville has not done that. He's lived in Florida, and I doubt he's been paying Alabama income tax for all that time. So that would be something to ask about.
So best case scenario is he leaves the Senate to pursue the governorship, and then his Republican buddies look up his, because I know they're going to do this, because I think they already are working on it. Look up his tax statements and whatnot, and get him dispelled from being able to run for governor. We can wish and hope and dream.
Yeah. So yeah, best case scenario as far as this front. So according to the polls, the governorship is his if he wants it. So if he runs, he wins. And if the secretary or if the attorney general doesn't press charges against him for violating the residency law, and then it would probably have to go before the state Supreme Court, and who knows how they would rule. So, but yeah, there's a chance that he could win the election and still not be governor if he's prosecuted and if the prosecution is upheld.
Fingers crossed, folks.
But then we get Will Ainsworth as governor.
Oh, it all just hurts. It all just hurts.
So your governor is either going to be Tommy Tuberville or it's going to be Will Ainsworth. I don't know that a Democrat has even announced that.
Well, and the last Democrat that ran was anti-abortion. So
right, Yolanda Flowers was her name. Yeah. Oh yeah, so that frees up a Senate seat for us to run for, and the Democrat who was announced is a former Republican who voted for Trump twice.
What's their name?
I forget their name.
We got Mark asking, is there a creative way to make him not? I don't know. We can start some conspiracy theories about him. How he secretly is an Alabama fan or some shit. I don't know. Actually, that would probably help him. All things considered.
Unless he spread the right kind of conspiracy theory, like he was kind to somebody once, and then all these Republicans will be like, "Oh no, he was nice to somebody."
Did any players of his ever come out and speak out against him? I'm curious. I never saw any. So, but
haven't heard anything about that.
But his insufferable ass. He's never had a quote unquote real job in his life. He's always been a government employee as a coach or as an elected official. So, and somehow he's worth tens of millions of dollars. Fraud, waste, and abuse indeed.
So yeah, Kyle Sweetser is the name of the Democrat who's running for the Senate. Kyle Sweetser of Mobile, a businessman, grown, and former two-time Donald Trump voter who bashed the president at last summer's Democratic National Convention, announced his run earlier this month. So no matter who you like, whoever runs for Senate, you'll be voting for a Trump voter.
Man.
But of course, the Republicans are very likely to win the Senate seat and the governor's seat in the state of Alabama, even if Democrats are able to field candidates, which is a big if.
Yeah. Well, maybe another Democrat comes out to primary that gentleman in Mobile. Was,
Hopefully so.
Yeah, we shall see. There's still a little bit of time left here. But goodness. Talk about not having a whole lot of choices. Whew.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see here. There's a couple things. Speaking of candidates, I'm gonna wanted to get to this, but I think we'll have to save it till next week. But I'm gonna at least share this one site. This is Who Funds Alabama Candidates, and this is Alabama Senate District 5 Special Election Contribution Tracker. It's quite well done. Using public records. It goes. We've got Ryan Cagle is the Democratic nominee. They beat Sarah Watkins, and then Matt Woods here is for the Republicans. But I highly endorse Mr. Cagle. He got the only Narcan vending machine in the state in his community, and hopefully this year there's a lot of folks that are wanting to replicate his work and get it in their area as well. That's something I saw this month there, or this past week. The opioid funds, they're doing something with them, but they're not giving them to victims. I think there's 41 million. But Ryan Cagle, and I'll drop this in the chat as well. You see their contributions and Miss Watkins. But now we look at Mr. Woods here with $331,000
compared to one.
Yeah. Let's go back up and look at 11,000, or not even 11,000. My bad. $1,147.37 compared to $331,000 from Mr. Woods here. But 25 packs, 17. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 17 groups, businesses, corporations, one cell phone, and then 52 individuals. So you go through and see.
What's this website?
So this is created. I can't recall who exactly did this, but I love the website name. Fantasy Jackrabbit ed6.notion.site.
Sounds like the kind of site you can't look up in Alabama.
Well, they are trying to pass some law. I saw this week that you can bet on old horse and dog races. Explain that one to me.
Okay, so it's funny because the way that it's so in Lowndes County and Lowndes County only, they would allow betting on historical races, which means you don't know the race in advance. You pick a horse and based on just random chance and win. But here's the thing. The bill specifies that you can be betting on this game no matter what else appears on the screen. So it's basically a backdoor law to legalize slot machines in Lowndes County.
Mm.
And it made it out of the Senate, but it will probably die in the House, but it made it out of the Senate. Yeah, I meant to talk about this. But basically it's like this weird law that has this weird workaround that would allow slot machines based on, sort of like in Alabama, the slot machines are required to be bingo based. So they have
Mhm.
like there's normal slot machines, but they've got a little bingo game in the upper corner. If you look at it, if you look at the screen, and so now you'll have slot machines that have historical horse race footage somewhere on the screen, and you're technically betting on that, but also it's also works like a regular slot machine.
Mhm.
Steve Wyndham, I saw that name on there.
But yeah, something we'll try to dig deeper into. But I just wanted to throw that out there, some campaign finance stuff, and that is fantastic. What a nice little workaround they got there.
So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I suspect the House will vote it down. The usual suspects who are super anti-gambling in the state have come out in against it. So there's that. I have my own position on gambling is very fluid, as you know. Like on the one hand, I love gambling. I love to gamble. I love to play craps, man. Craps is my game. Um, and I like blackjack too.
Oh yeah, I'm poker. Um, love some Texas Hold'em. I've won several tournaments. I won a tournament against all of NATO in Afghanistan, against several hundred people out there, which was probably the high point of my poker career thus far, unless I somehow find my way into it again. But yeah,
That's
uh,
impressive.
thank you. Thank you. Got the chips somewhere, over in the chips. Got the little, winning token. But before we went out, I wanted to share a little high point video, and then we'll, we'll do our goodbyes. Unless you got anything else.
Nope, that's it for me for this week.
Okay, let's see here. So, a little couple minutes, and we'll enjoy this.
We did it, everybody! We finally cast off all unjust hierarchies and defeated fascism and liberal democracy. Yay! Now we can rebuild society anew.
Oh, come on.
Huh?
What a time to freeze.
Right? Oh my goodness.
No, well.
I'm getting no love. No love. But I'll drop this one in the chat as well. Oh my god. It was the high point. It was the fun.
The most professional podcast
Yes.
in Alabama.
But I highly suggest y'all check out Dreg, uh, J-Reg, what have you. Highly entertaining. Check out the Centricide series they did. And yeah, I think with that, J Money, you got anything else?
Nope, I pretty much said it all that I had for this week.
Right on. Yeah, I think we're coming to an end, and I just remind y'all: electoralism, direct action, mutual aid, building worker co-ops and unions, folks. Those are the pillars that we build on to win. And if you think you ain't ready, just look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. And with that, folks, as we like to say around here, all the power to all the people. We, the people, break our chains together. Solidarity forever, y'all.
Solidarity forever.